Welcome to this class on leadership, which is part of the CRM capsule and lessons. You all would be wondering why we have to learn about leadership in the CRM. If one were to analyze, because we are working in enclosed spaces and independent environments when we are flying, we have our own pockets and there are several situations in which we in the past incidences we notice that we need to exhibit the crew, eventually every captain needs to exhibit leadership qualities, and every junior crew eventually becomes a captain, and eventually he also needs to exhibit. The people who are the cabin crew, the lead cabin crew, in several situations in flight, she needs to exhibit this leadership qualities, and especially in emergent situations. So, there is a felt need to understand the theory of leadership and how to improve the leadership qualities, etc., etc. And therefore, this class on leadership. The concept of leadership has been interpreted and practiced almost more than 5,000 years before. And we all know about Bhagavad Gita, where we all talked about leadership extensively. Leaders have dominated the history and they came from different walks of life. And, uh, um, uh, um, and what is important, we all tend to incorrectly understand that leadership qualities are only in military applications. It's not necessary. In every walk of life, each person, there is a need for us to exhibit our leadership qualities in every walk of life. You could be a family head. So you have to lead your family. You could be in a group. You are a captain of the plane. There are about 8-10 crew in that particular flight. So you are a leader, exhibiting some leadership qualities to take them along, keep them together, and achieve the objective. So leadership not is only for military applications, but for in all walks of life. In every walk of life, you will identify the need for people to exhibit good leadership qualities. Uh, Let me take Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu was a Chinese military uh, thinker and somewhat like equivalent of Chanakya in our history. So he has defined several theories on several human traits and behaviors and on warfare, etc., etc. Let's see what he says about leadership. Leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humanness, courage, and discipline. Reliance on intelligence alone results in rebelliousness. Exercise of humanness alone results in weakness. Fixation on trust results in folly. Dependent on strength of courage results in violence. Excessive discipline results in cruelty. So, what he means to say is an ideal mix of several important traits is what is to be found in a good leader, and it's not necessarily uniform. It depends on the situation. It depends on the existing particular circumstances in which the leadership qualities are being exhibited by that particular leader. Leadership is such an important subject, so several extensive research has been done by several social scientists, and some of the most accepted and important theories are as shown: trait theory, situational leadership theories, functional leadership theories, behavioral leadership theories, and contemporary leadership theories. And it's a very vast subject. I'm going to touch upon some of them so that you get some kind of exposure and you are able to appreciate the subject very well. Long time back, when I learnt about leadership, the first class we learnt that there are no thumb rules for a leader, there are no common qualities for a leader. That's what I learnt. But of course, that was as a passing remark. The instructor, just to introduce the subject, he introduced the subject by telling that. But of course, there are some qualities in a leader which may not be visible, but I think there are some common qualities such as vision, passion, confidence and determination, persistence and image building, etc. These are the qualities of a good leader, and I'm sure you are appreciating where I am driving at. Eventually, our commercial airline captains, we will have to, are going to be captains, budding pilots who foresee them as future captains, or a brand newly inducted cabin crew who are going to be leads. You are going to be improving on these particular, you are going to be consciously developing these qualities over a period of time, so that you can become good leads, captains, etc. And let's continue with some good qualities of the leader: confidence, passion, motive arousal, and frame alignment. What is frame alignment? Ability to align the interests of individuals is to that of the organization or the mission. So, or to take the people along for the entire duration of the mission. That's what how I will describe in this particular environment. Okay, how does emotion affect leader, and what happens thereof? Of course, if you are irritated as a captain, then you are sending so much of negative signals, negative energy to your crew, and there afterwards several things could not go smoothly. So that's the point. The positive mood of leader causes positive effect amongst the group members. Contagion effect, of course, this I don't have to explain too much. Your mood, you are able to, your good or bad mood, you are able to propagate to your followers. Leaders signal their goals and intentions and attitudes through their expressions and moods. This is what we learned in our communication capsule, right? There are several methods of communicating our ideas, and especially gestures is very powerful, and it gets propagated very easily and very powerfully. And you be emotionally be intelligent to understand yourself and of course understand others. Why we are emphasizing on leadership studies on aviation? We know that in a cockpit or in a flight environment, after flying almost on a long flight, and or in some places where there are there are nobody to up above you to give directions, and you have to take a lot of decisions on your own, etc., etc. So the need, as I told you, to exhibit leadership qualities in aviation environment has been felt in several occasions, several incidences in the past. So therefore, we are studying this particular aspect and trying to develop leadership qualities in all of us. Let's see why we are learning leadership. The situation is dynamic. There is a high level of interpersonal interaction, always under time constraint, and many times situations are very stressful. Activity needs a very high level of coordination, and propensity for event slippage is very high. And of course, there are emergent situations. During emergencies, the need is even more. All these factors necessitate a high level of leadership qualities in supervisory staff, even not only, not confining to only captains and cabin crew, even the commercial staff, the person who's looking after the shift. Uh, you have to interact with passengers. You have to make sure that the flights are dispatched on time. Several. So every situation there is a need for people to be exhibiting their good leadership qualities so that things go on smoothly. Okay, I'm not going to be discussing one whole lot of theories. I'm just going to be touching upon some theories which could be more relevant and of course more interesting as well. So, trait leadership theories, and uh, one of it is as shown. It says there are four types of leader that can be identified. One is autocratic, one is authoritative, democratic, and laissez-faire. So I'm going to be explaining these particular traits of leadership and see how it relates in our environment. Okay, how does an autocratic leader behave? He is given the power to make decisions alone. Leaders do not entertain any suggestions or any initiative from any of the subordinates. Provides a strong motivation to the manager, and it permits good quick decision making. That means he doesn't have to consult, take too many views, and get confused, etc., etc. He just gives one decision and that's it. That's the way an autocratic leader behaves. Let's learn about authoritative leader. He is highly task oriented. He shows no involvement in the team's needs, no emotional involvement. I mean, he is just worried that the task should be completed and it should be completed efficiently. That's it. And but such leaders need constant monitoring whether they're doing the right thing or no. And of course, he's a deal maker. He's all the time trying to make deals. If you do this, I will see that you are promoted, etc., etc. If you don't do this, I will see that you are sent to another department, or I will see that you will get an incorrect, adverse report. So he's a deal maker, and that's how the authoritative leaders behave. A democratic leader, as the name suggests, is much more interactive. So he's a leader who includes one or more employees, but of course he retains the final decision making authority to himself. He doesn't. Finally, he decides after hearing everybody's views. That is his important trait. He exhibits great sign of strength, and people have respect. People follow him, and uh, and these leaders have part of information. He doesn't have to divulge all the information to all the employees. He doesn't share it. He keeps some of the important information to himself. That's the way he retains full control over his subordinates. Members become part of his team, and you are able to take better decisions due to more than one suggestions. But it's a time consuming process. That's one thing which we need to understand. Laissez-faire leader is a happy-go-lucky fellow. He takes it easy. He allows employees to take decisions, and of course, such a leader needs to have employees of much higher qualification and motivation. He is not to pass on the blame. He has great trust and confidence in his employees, and this is one of the very finest ways to make decision, and which is an acceptable decision in the group. But is it easy to follow trait? Not necessarily so. Anyway, having covered these traits, am I trying to suggest a particular trait is a correct one? Not necessary. Every person needs to understand that these are the styles, and they can employ such styles in different groups. You yourself can be a laissez-faire leader depending on your subordinates, that particular group, that particular task. Sometimes you have to be authoritative, sometimes you have to be democratic. So that's where your leadership skill lies, and you have to evolve consciously. In what particular situation should I be laissez-faire leader? In what particular situation should I be an authoritative leader, etc., etc. Discuss briefly discuss another theory, um, as shown here in this particular diagram. There are again four types of leadership traits which we can identify: delegating, directing, coaching, and supporting. So it has been put in a graph, and on the x-axis is concern for task, and on the y-axis is the concern for people. So that means lowermost is the least concern for task, and as you go towards the right on the x-axis, there is a great concern for task, and so also is the case in the y-axis for concern for people's welfare. To what kind of subordinates will you exhibit this different kinds of leadership? I will just touch upon that. Firstly, the delegating authority is for people with very high competence and very high commitment. That means you don't have to exhibit too much of a concern of their welfare. Uh, and nor do you have to exhibit too much. They themselves are highly motivated, so they are competent also. So they will achieve the task themselves. Move further to the right, there are people with low competence, but however they are highly motivated, they are highly committed. So so you don't have to exhibit too much concern for their welfare, but you have to exhibit concern for task. You have to be very strict with their task accomplishment, so that they will be able to achieve the task in spite of their low competence. Let me go to the fourth right top quadrant. There are some people with poor competence and of course not very high level of commitment. So you have to be following the style of coaching. That means you have to show high concern for them. You have to be constantly worried about their welfare, exhibit your concern about their welfare, etc. And then and of course let them realize that you are worried about task also. Just because you are concerned about their welfare doesn't mean you will accept a lower standards in task. So coaching is what is that style which is required. And of course left top style is you if the people are very competent and they are not very committed, they are very intelligent and they have skill, and they are able to achieve, but sometimes they show lackluster attitude, and so such people you must show a very high level of concern for their welfare. Then can you expect good productivity from such people. And now I thought it's important to highlight this particular aspect. There are different phases of flight, and accidents data of the past shows that takeoff and initial climb constitute 25%, 25, approximately 26% of cause of accidents. Accidents, and approaching a landing phase constitute about 56%. That's almost about 80%, over 80% of the accidents take place in takeoff and approach landing phases, and the cruise is under 20%. Why I am highlighting this particular aspect is how your leadership style should change in these particular phases. So you don't have to be a uniform kind of leader in all the phases. So, and also we know that workload is moderate to heavy in the takeoff phase, and very light during the cruise phase, and approach and landing is very heavy. So you have to change your leadership styles and exhibit different kinds of concerns, different kinds of concern for task, etc., etc. So that's what we should understand as good captains and leaders. That's why I uh, put this particular fact, so that you don't have to follow a single particular type of leadership, or you don't have to behave like a single type of captain in all phases. First, all PSEs are leaders. So, what are good PIC traits? I just enumerated, so that keep this in mind. And if you find yourself lacking, you can make conscious efforts to improve those. Has empathy for others, leads by example, creates an atmosphere conducive for effective communication, and of course, you are a good listener. Coordinates activities to balance authority and assertiveness, and are attentive to and supportive. I'm sorry. Okay, we have been covering about PIC leaders, etc. And as a junior crew, how you should behave, or as a junior subordinate, how you should behave. You are attentive and to and supportive of the PIC, or your supervisor can easily adapt to changing situations. You are not rigid. Prove yourself to resourcefulness and resilient. You are not all the time posing only problems. You are able to find solutions, and of course you are able to, if you know that you are right, you are able to assert yourself very well, and in a gentle manner. So eventually you are going to be a good subordinate, and of course you are going to be a good supervisor, or a PIC, or a lead cabin crew, in or a supervisor in wherever you work. Okay, we coming to the end of the lesson, and I just try to briefly touch on leadership and its theories, and a systematic study of what a leader and how it goes in promoting good flights, and of course eventually it will promote safe flying environment, good environment in your airline, office work, etc., etc. So we all need to be aware and then develop these qualities consciously over a period of time. That's what I would like all of us to understand and realize. Once again, I thank you all for having gone through this lesson patiently, and I request you all to offer your comments. Please send me a mail, and please keep following my lessons in my YouTube channel, and of course in our website as well. and one whole lot of resources are available on the website, and I'm sure each one is going to benefit out of that. Once again, thank you all, and I have few more lessons to be covered in the CRM capsule. We will continue, and we will meet in those particular lessons. Thank you once again.